All right, let me say hello and welcome to each and every one of you. Doug here with thelincolnlist.com, and I want to welcome you to another daily edition of Stock Market Mutterings, where I always say I'll do my best to take a grope in the murkiness, try to make some sense out of the market for you, and try to provide you with some quality trade setups. Let me begin with a formal apology about my appearance. Some of you have been following me on social media, you know. I took off for the Memorial Day weekend, rode my motorcycle all the way from San Diego to Utah and down to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. I want to spend 1 second on this because if you've never done this, this is amazing. So I've been on the road for like 3 straight days eating dehydrated food. I mean, it's been an epic experience, but this ride was about 80 miles. It's this remote, isolated spot of the Grand Canyon, and nobody is out there. I mean, it's hard to get there, but the bike made it. I mean, it was just unbelievable views. Had the whole place to myself. I mean, I'll put some pictures up. Just nuts. I mean, it was one of these emotional experiences with you where you connected with nature. It was just awesome. So I came back up here to St. George, Utah, where I'm going to do some trail riding and some backpacking and some other things here for a little while. So I'm just kind of staying in the Airbnb. So I apologize, number one, for the grizzled look, but I'm going with it. I'm going to go with it because I'm out in nature. I'm savage and I'm a man. That's right. I'm of earth, and I'm feeling like it. I'm also too tired to get off of this floor, so I'm just staying at this Airbnb. I'm bringing it to you guys live. I live stream from here. That's right. No matter where I go, I'm still always thinking about stocks. That's right, man. So anyway, I can't get up. That's why I'm going to stay here. So you're just going to have to deal with it. How about that? Wherever I go, we're always going to be doing the mutts. That's right. So let's talk about this market. Let's get serious for a moment. I'll start out with the SPY because if you've been following lately, I talked about my targets, how I thought, hey, we're going to see SPY 300. It seemed like a foregone conclusion to me. Now, the reason I went with that is because we talked about it in these mutterings, that the market had had several attempts over the last couple of weeks to be sold off. We saw the oil thing or whatever that was. I can't even remember what it was last week. It just seems like a faded memory at this point. But there were some aggressive attempts at selling down the market. But what had happened is the retaliation right after that was, whatever a sell-off was, it was gone. The market went back up to highs. It just retraced that almost as quickly as it came down, like it never happened. And when you see that, that lets you know the intentions of the bull market. If it's going to go the other way in a bear market scenario, it's the opposite. So if some of you are looking for a correction, the signs are you have your first wave of selling, and then the bounce is weak, followed by a more aggressive wave of selling, a weaker bounce, followed by an aggressive selling. We had the opposite. We had, selling, followed by an aggressive buying, followed by selling, aggressive buying, and so on. That's the establishment of a bull trend. If you're looking for a correction, it's going to have to flip. Now that we the market always kind of plays tricks on you anyway and kind of puts you in a bad mood sometimes. We really wanted to capitalize more on that. I had some swings open going into that 300. That was nice, but I was really looking to capitalize on some heavier open day trades. And yet again, I don't know what day this is. It feels like day 100 of a gap up. It just gapped right above that 300 today. And from that moment, pre-market, it just sold off. Now, when I got up this morning, I was thinking, now that my short-term target has been hit, I think maybe we have some 3100s on the S&P. Excuse me. This is so uncomfortable to lay on the floor like this. Then we got 3100s here on the S&P. That's, I think that's going to be it for the short term. I'm not saying that we're going to correct and go like burn in hell sort of thing, but I think you're going to see a little bit of a pullback of some sort. And we kind of saw that a little bit during the day here, especially when you're looking at your bigger tech names, the ones that have really led the charge this whole time. Again, we need more data here. Like they say, one day doesn't make a trend. What we saw in one day doesn't mean we're going to see this every single day of the week following this, or this is the beginning of a bigger correction. Maybe it is, but we're going to get more data as the week progresses. But the thing that you saw here is NVIDIA just got totally smoked from the open. I mean, this thing was up around 370s to start the day in the pre-market, closing all the way down at the 340s, 347s? Yeah, 348. What a sell-off. I mean, what a mega sell-off. And you saw that all the way across the board. Big names like stuff we've been talking about, Amazon's, TWLO, Team, OKTA, TTD, Peloton, Splunk, Apple. Facebook, all these things had mega corrections from where they were to start the day. Now, what you saw over here was a different greens. What was green? Things like Wynn, Boeing, BA, Federal Express, FDX, airlines. So maybe this is a precursor to what we're going to see here in the near future, as we talked about the money cycles several times, is that maybe money is moving out of tech because they've gotten quite expensive for the short term. Maybe money's moving out of tech and it's going to start moving into some of these other things. Maybe consumer staples, maybe something else. I don't know. Oh, my hips are killing me on the floor. But maybe this is a sign. Again, we need more data to figure this all out, to see where we're going to go from here. First order of business for me, again, is taking a look at this Netflix. You've got to think at some point here, and I've been waiting. I've certainly been waiting. I don't have my daily charts up right here because my other computer isn't working. You may ask, well, gee, Doug, why isn't it working? Well, let me tell you guys this little secret. If you have a computer, it needs power. So like if you leave your charger, your power cable at home, kind of got a problem. So I have this computer laying over here. It's just laying over here. That's probably where it's going to stay because there's no power. Anyway, so I'm working off of limited charts and my phone. I would think this thing is going to bounce here sometime pretty soon, probably roughly around the 400 spot. Let's just keep watching it because I've been watching it and I could have just shorted it instead of watching it because it has just been smoked since hitting all-time highs. I mean, this thing broke all-time highs like on last week, and a week later it's just shaved off roughly $40 in price. I mean, it's just down every single day. So I still want to look at it. At this point, it's not worth just going in because you think just it needs to bounce. Remember, this is kind of what we mess up with sometimes. The thinking of something has to do something. It has to sell off. It has to bounce. No, it does not. It doesn't have to do anything. You can get the probability that it should bounce, but you still have to look at the setup. You still have to look at the moves intraday to find out when is the stock telling you that it's done going down? When do you see the buyers stepping in to save the stock or to help the stock? Where do you see the dips getting bought more with volume and aggression rather than just saying, oh, I think now's a good time? So I'm still waiting on that. I don't know if it's ever going to come out. And I still think that all of these big tech names, if you're day trading, they're still buys. And I mean, on any kind of flush, washout, drive into support, even if they're going to go through a correction, it's not going to be something that's straight down. It's something that you'll be able to see along the way because you'll get bounces. Even if they're weak, you'll still get bounces and you'll see moves like that before you see a second or a third wave of selling. So I'm still into those. Now, it might be a good time to take a look at things like the airlines here. They had a strong day. Now, they've had strong days before, but maybe it's time to kind of look at these. Maybe they're ready to go. They've built some pretty solid bases across the board. I like BA. I like DAL, AAL. I think these are pretty good movers right now. And maybe if they can confirm for the next day or so, there could be a nice little swing or a nice movement to the upside on these as money rotates out of tech. So going forward, here's the plan. Unless the market itself, the SPY, moves under 280, I'm still relatively bullish because I think any sort of sell-off that you're going to get is just a normal correction. That's it. It's just another opportunity to buy. And I don't think this begins a correction that goes back to lows. Now, if that's the case, if we get under 280, then maybe I'll change my mind. Or if we go through that cycle where you're selling off aggressively and the market's moving down aggressively on volume and the dip buyers are not present and the bounces are weak followed by more lows, then maybe I'll change my mind then. You can always gauge the market's interest, towards the tape. That's what we call reading the tape, sort of. So, well, that's what I call it. I don't know if it's what somebody else calls it. But it's understanding the market's rhythm. And that's what we talked about for the last 2 weeks. That's why I was so bullish. Why I was so bullish? Because every sell-off was met with aggressive buying. It doesn't matter if the charts are still down. If the buying is aggressive, they're going to go higher. It will make it there, regardless if anybody thinks it should or it would. It's going. And that's what you're going to have to see if you want to sell off. I'll be more interested in going forward to see if this is a precursor to tech. Is tech done for the short term? There are always buys. It would actually be great for all of us if they would sell off for 4 or 5 days, knocking some of these prices down so they become more attractive and we can buy them back up again. I think that would be a great idea. And then maybe it's time to just start looking at some other sectors here, especially the airlines, things like Boeing, maybe even the casinos. We're getting close to reopening up the country, so perhaps that's something that we need to take a look at. We'll get more details as the week progresses, but you start to see a little bit more interest in those names. And again, we need more data to confirm that. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. I still think all dips are buys right now, at least for trades. If the bounces are weak, then maybe we're in for something that's a couple of days long, a few days long, a week long. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. That's my game plan, is to continue to stay bullish until we start trading a little bit lower and staying lower, or aggressive selling is met with more aggressive selling. Then that's what we'll do. But still, until then, no plans have changed. And you can always look at a sector map, a heat map, or something to see where some money's flowing in. But again, a couple more days here this week, we'll get a better feel for it. I know it's a short one. So anyway, guys, I'm going to call it quits right there. Tried to bring you better technology on the road, but you know what? Oh, well. It didn't work. I'm just sitting over here, kind of looks like I'm in. Playing, look at some bunk beds. Slept in a bunk bed. That's what I'm doing. Guruing, huh? Traveling, sleeping in bunk beds, laying on the floor, trading stocks. That's what you get with me. No Lambos here. I'm too cheap for the Lambo. Ain't no way. But I'm having a good time riding my bike. Going to be out here for a little while, so I'll still continue. If you guys have any questions, don't worry. I'm trading every day. Join the room. I'm trading every day. I trade better when I'm on the road. There's less distraction. So anyway, guys, I'll chat with you guys tomorrow. Until then, take care. Trade well. See you then.